Have you ever caught yourself saying things like, my body is broken, my body sucks, my body hates me, my body is damaged, my body doesn't work, and this is never gonna get better? I hear this kind of language from people suffering with chronic pain all the time, and it's completely understandable. But what if these words aren't just words? What if they're quietly shaping the way that we feel, move, and even heal? My name is Ellen, I'm a chronic pain counsellor, and today I want to talk about the importance of how we speak to ourselves, the stories that we tell ourselves about our bodies and our pain. So why is this important? I actually have a very personal story of why these words are important and how they affected me while I was suffering with chronic pain. When I was a teenager, I had a lot of neck pain, so much stiffness and tension, shooting pains, weakness in my arm, jaw pain. I actually had locked jaw for a few weeks where I just couldn't move. I had a lot of different symptoms. And I would often say things to myself and to other people, things like, my neck is out of whack, I got a dodgy neck, I got a bum neck, I need to be careful with my neck. And so not only was I saying these things to myself and other people, but I was also imagining that my neck was like a war zone. I was imagining like bony spurs growing out of my skull and ligaments that were torn and damaged and muscles that were made out of rock, because that's what it felt like. It really felt like something was really wrong. Every day just felt like a drag. I felt so heavy and I felt so stuck in this area of my body. So it's understandable that I was imagining what I felt. But the thing is, because I was imagining this and I was saying these words to myself like damaged, broken, out of alignment, I would treat myself that way. And so I would avoid doing anything that could trigger pain. And that avoidance actually made the pain worse because it made me more and more and more tense because I was guarding, I was trying to protect. And part of the reason that was happening was because of the words that I was saying to myself, because of the story that I continued to tell myself year after year after year, that something was wrong, something was broken. I have another example from my clinic with a client who was just such a happy-go-lucky, very bubbly, bright kind of person, until she started talking about her neck. She would say things like, oh, my neck just doesn't work. But then she would do things like hit herself like this and like really sorry, that was probably unpleasant in the microphone. She would be very violent towards herself, kind of in like an attempt to make her neck relax. We treat ourselves very roughly when we're not doing what we think we should be doing. And in her case, she really felt like I need to like force my neck to relax. So she really loved getting deep, rough, very aggressive massages until she came to me. And so we started to be a little more gentle with her neck, and it did. It actually relaxed and let go of a lot of that tension while she was on the massage table. But the thing is that she would go home and it would be kind of like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. She'd come to me the next week and it would just all be really tense again. And so I started to point out the words that she was saying to herself, like these very aggressive, negative words. And I said to her, what I would encourage you to do this week is just notice how often you say these things. Don't even try and change them yet. Just notice how much it happens. Because I don't think she was fully aware that she was even doing it. It had been happening for so long that it was kind of just like the background noise of like, yeah, my neck is crap. Oh yeah, bum neck. It had become normal to say these things about her own body. And so she did. She really took it on quite seriously, and she took note of every time she said something aggressive or negative towards this part of her body or about this part of her body. And she came back the next week and was like, I noticed. I do it a lot. And she had already started to shift those thoughts. And the thing about shifting these thoughts is I don't want to make it sound like I'm saying, oh, just never say a negative thing, never express frustration, just be sunshine and rainbows and only say happy things. No, that is definitely not what I'm saying. Expressions of frustration, of being real with yourself and being honest and saying like, this hurts, that is good, that is healthy, that is natural. What I'm more talking about is the habit, the habitual tendency to just say negative things because that's what is practiced. So for this client, what we really helped her do was go from saying things like, my neck is broken, to my neck is sore. It's a tiny shift, but it does feel less heavy. It feels less permanent. It feels less aggressive to just go from broken to sore. And the nice thing about that is that you still believe it. It's still true, but it doesn't have the same impact as like, I am broken. Editing Ellen here. As I was making this video, I realized how hard it is to come up with thoughts that feel a little bit better off the cuff. I made a little guide that I thought might be helpful. Click the link in the description. You can get that sent to your inbox. Back to the video. So for myself, when I was starting to heal my neck pain, I would try and catch myself when I was saying things like my neck is out of whack, and I would say my neck is sore. And then slowly I would start to say even better feeling things like my neck is getting there. I'm starting to feel a bit better. I'm getting more movement. I'm learning to let go of tension. And slowly but surely, I started to believe better and better feeling thoughts. I didn't try and go from 0 to 100, like from broken to amazing. I just slowly shifted my thoughts, shifted my beliefs towards something that felt a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And because I wasn't like attacking myself with these negative, very harsh, critical thoughts, my nervous system started to relax. Because you can imagine, if someone else was saying these things to you, if someone was like standing behind you going like, you're broken, you'll never get any better, your neck is damaged, your neck is out of whack, don't do that, you might hurt yourself, don't do that, you might hurt yourself. Can you imagine how tiring that would be? And how tense and defensive you would feel after just one day? But the thing is, that is what we do to ourselves all day, every day. We just don't really notice it because it becomes a habit. It becomes normal. It becomes just part of the background noise of our own minds. And so when that habit started to ease, started to lose some of its momentum, my nervous system was able to just relax a little bit. And then I started to feel a little bit better because I wasn't sort of internally, mentally attacking myself constantly and reinforcing these negative beliefs I had about my neck. I was able to drop my shoulders a little bit, so to speak. And that started to reinforce a new story. Actually helped me believe even better feeling thoughts of like, oh, I am feeling a bit better. Oh, I do have less pain. I haven't had a headache in a while. Oh, my jaw moves better than it used to. And that started a positive cycle rather than the negative cycle that I was in before. Same thing happened with my client, was the physical treatments were helpful in the short term, but it really was the mental, internal work that she did that helped her go from 2 steps forward, 2 steps backward to 2 steps forward, maybe half a step backward, 2 steps forward, maybe a quarter of a step backward, 2 steps forward, 1 step forward, another step forward, because she was working with herself rather than against herself. Now, I do feel that this kind of thing really applies very well and very quickly to musculoskeletal pain. And obviously, being a massage therapist, that is where I have the most clinical experience, is working with people with muscular tension or fascial tension. So the relief that they can get from implementing these tools of changing how they speak to themselves can be really quick, because the muscles are very fast, they're very responsive. They'll do whatever the brain tells them to. So in that way, you could say like, oh, this is just for people with musculoskeletal chronic pain. However, I would also argue that it does work for other kinds of chronic pain that may not be related to musculoskeletal pain. Another personal example is I used to have full body chronic eczema. So almost head to toe, about 80 to 90% of my body was covered in really severe eczema. The stories that I would tell myself, the words that I would say to myself, you don't even want to know. It got very dark, but it was mostly along the lines of, my body hates me. My immune system is broken. I am damaged. Why does nothing work? Why can't I just live? Why is my body betraying me? Why is it attacking me? Oh gosh, the negative spiral I would put myself into. And it was so understandable because I had the evidence of like, my body is literally attacking me. And so it was really difficult to start to change those stories. But I did see how when I would basically attack myself with my own words, it would make my eczema worse. It would make my whole body tense. So in that way, I did actually make my musculoskeletal pain worse. I made my neck pain worse because I was attacking myself, getting really tense, ramping up my nervous system, and then my eczema and my neck pain would get worse. It's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, really. So at some point along the way, I just had this instinct or like this sense of like, oh, I think I need to be a bit nicer to myself. And it was really hard. It really started with going from my immune system is attacking me, my body hates me, to my immune system is just confused. My body is trying to protect me. It still wasn't sunshine and rainbows, but it did feel a little bit better. It was a little less harsh. It at least helped me go from warring with myself, attacking myself, making myself and my body enemies, to starting to work with myself, starting to at least be on my own side, starting to appreciate or at least tolerate my body, especially in the early stages. It took me a while to get to appreciation. It was definitely just a lot of tolerating for a while. In both of those instances, from my personal experience with the chronic neck pain and the chronic eczema, the way I spoke to myself was so important. And it's something that I see time and time again amongst my clients, is that when they start to talk to themselves and say better feeling things to themselves, it helps them. It may not be the only thing, but it at least doesn't work against them anymore. It at least doesn't interrupt their healing, and it makes the journey a lot smoother. I want to emphasize that this is not me saying like, just say nice things and you'll be healed immediately. I'm just saying that this is at least worth trying, and at least being aware of like, how do I speak to myself? And is there a way that I could speak to myself that just feels a little bit better? So if any of that resonated, and if you want to try this for yourself, what I would recommend is to start with just becoming aware of what you say to yourself. Just listen to the things that you say out loud, to the thoughts that you have inside your head. Don't try and change them straight away. Even just becoming aware of them can take a lot of the power out of them. You can kind of start to catch yourself saying something harsh and negative and go like, oh right, yeah, I do that. It just takes a lot of the punch out of the words. It takes a lot of the oomph out of them. You know, kind of takes the wind out of their sails. And then once you become aware of what you're doing, then you can start to consciously change it. Even if it's just starting your day with, okay, I'm not gonna attack myself until at least after breakfast. If that's all you can manage, that's enough. That is enough for now. Slowly you'll find it easier to be less harsh with yourself. And just remember that we're not asking for miracles. We're not going from 0 to 100. We're going from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. Even if it's from really negative to just negative. Like that is still a step in the right direction. And you'll be able to feel it. This will help you tune into what feels 1% better. And that's just in relation to the words that you say to yourself. There are a lot more tools, a lot more techniques that you can implement to help your body along this journey of chronic pain. And this is just one of them. So if any of this resonated, if any of this felt helpful, or if you're even just curious about what else you may be able to do for yourself and your chronic pain journey, feel free to subscribe, hit the links, click the buttons, do all of the things. I've got more videos. I love talking about this. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.